Hey everyone, welcome back to Poplar Preparedness. In this video, we're going to be talking about another hot spot in the world, which is Pakistan. Pakistan is on the brink. Protests will be starting in the next several days probably, and they may not stop. And this is extremely important because not only are they a nation of 220 million people, but they also have nuclear weapons. So, if the government falls, who's going to pick up the nuclear weapons? That is an important question. And if things start devolving in Pakistan, India is going to be extremely, extremely concerned because they're the ones who those nuclear weapons are pointed at. Right? Those nuclear weapons aren't pointed at the United States. They're pointed at India. So India will get very nervous and will potentially be planning how to try to seize those nuclear weapons to protect themselves if the situation devolves significantly. So why is the government of Pakistan starting to destabilize? Well, let me just give you this statistic and you let me know how people in a poor country will react to this. In the capital of Islamabad, as well as one of the neighboring cities, Rawalpindi, a 20 kg bag of flour has gone from 800 rupees last week, 800 rupees last week, to over 1,500 rupees this week. A 90% increase in price in 1 week of flour. Now, of course, flour is the main food that the main staple over there. They mostly eat bread, right? They do rice as well, but Pakistan is mostly a wheat place. So we're looking at an almost double price for base food for the impoverished people in there. That's going to bring things to an end. Now, that's not why the protests are starting, okay? That's new. That's probably just going to increase the protests dramatically. What's triggering the protests are, catch this, unprecedented, unscheduled power cuts. Massive power cuts, particularly in the Rawalpindi area. And so, demonstrations are planned. Not only are they load shedding and cutting people's power off without warning, but now there is a water shortage, partially fueled by those power cuts, but then also because they are having a massive heat wave and drought. So, power cuts and water shortage during a massive heat wave. Does that sound like it's going to cause problems? And then on top of that, everyone's flour prices have doubled. That is the recipe that has doomed many a government out there. Expect massive demonstrations in Pakistan in the next several weeks. They will probably be starting this week, but they will probably grow very fast unless they can get the price of flour under control, because that is going to be brutal. Very hot temperatures. This has already sparked a cholera outbreak. 2,000 people already treated with cholera. A number have died from it. As you can see, this is very, very disturbing to be hearing about this in a nuclear power. In the capital and neighboring city of a nuclear power. Not only that, because that's not enough. We got some more bad news coming along the line. They have two major areas of the country that are unstable. Baluchistan up north, up against the Afghanistan border. That's like almost kind of due north, basically. And then you have the Northwest Territories where the Taliban are coming across the border. Yeah. So they got the Taliban up there, and then they have the Baluchistan Liberation Army, the BLA. BLA just had a foiled suicide bomber attempt on Chinese. We're getting to them. Just hang with me. We got more bad news to come through, okay? So the Baluchistan Liberation Army wants to make Baluchistan an independent country, and they are doing terror attacks, and they are arming themselves for a civil war. The Taliban, kind of almost in a neighboring state, basically want to break off that section and join Afghanistan. So the problems just keep stacking up. Okay, so let's get to the Chinese, right? Okay, so why are the Chinese in the country? Well, if you're familiar with the Belt and Road Initiative, basically the Chinese give out massive loans, like a pawn shop down in in an inner city area or something like that, try and take advantage of poor people. They give out money to countries that really can't pay it back, in return for massive infrastructure projects that double as foreign military bases for the Chinese. So basically, when the countries default on those loans, the Chinese come in and take the ports, the military ports, the airports, and military bases and such like that, take them over in order to project their power further. So that's kind of what's going on in Pakistan too. So they built this massive port down south on the ocean that's already housing Chinese military ships, and then on top of that, they've built a massive highway down through the country in order to get their goods from Western China down to those ports directly, so that ships don't have to go all the way around. In addition to that, so the Chinese are being attacked by the BLA because they really don't like the Chinese being in the country, because they figured the Chinese are stabilizing the central government, is what I'm kind of understanding. Okay, we got a couple big issues to go over still, but let's throw this one in there because it's kind of funny. So they're having a problem in Pakistan with TikTokers apparently setting wildfires in order to take videos in front of the wildfires. I sincerely hope this doesn't hit California, because out west, if we get a whole bunch of liberal Gen Zers lighting fires just to get TikTok videos, I don't know what we'll do. Anyway. Okay, so moving on from that to the really big issue that is brewing there too, because this directly affects the United States and other countries. So the former Prime Minister Imran Khan was just recently ousted by a vote of Parliament, a no confidence vote, 2-vote margin. And he is accusing the United States of, facilitating that vote. And his party controls a sizable percentage of the population of that country. And let's just say his accusation of the United States doing a soft coup on him is very popular right now. And so a large portion of the population feels like they've just been kicked out of the government. Does that sound like a recipe for a very violent uprising? Yes, it does. Then you throw in there the wheat prices doubling. You throw in the power blackouts. The unscheduled power blackouts, you throw the water shortage in there, and the extreme heat wave, cholera outbreak. Folks, this is a witch's brew that generally turns into revolution. So we're looking at Pakistan, and we're seeing this getting ready to explode. When you see all these things lining up, it is like the Arab Spring all over again. And this is what we're seeing there. So what can you do if you're in Pakistan? So this is, if you're not in Pakistan, like I'm not, we want to see this and try to learn from it as best we can. Try to learn from history. Try to learn from current events. When you see this type of thing brewing, it's time to leave the country. If you can get out, get out. If you can get to a more safe, stable area, do that. And by that, I mean get out of the cities. Generally, getting out of the cities is a good idea when it looks like you have civil war kind of brewing like this. It is extremely dangerous. Hopefully, people there have stocked up on flour and wheat as best they could before this massive increase in prices. See, when the spiraling, starts to reach the critical point, it grows exponentially, right? Things happen slowly, but then all of a sudden. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that that's how collapses happen. They don't happen, over a long period of time. Well, they kind of do. But then there's that point where, people keep telling themselves, it's going to get better, it's going to get better, it's not going to get worse, it's going to be fine. And then suddenly it gets bad so fast that nobody can react to it. And that's what we're looking at in Sri Lanka. That's what happened there. Then this is what we're going to be looking at in Pakistan here, and in several other countries. We've been saying for a while, food prices going up like this means countries are going to start falling. Governments are going to start falling, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that, and the question is which governments are going to fall. And the world is going to get destabilized, is going to get shaken up, and we're walking right into that. And hopefully it doesn't happen, but the cards are lining up like that. And with a nuclear power who happens to have all their nukes pointed at India, a place that India is probably not going to tolerate that. If the government starts losing power there, expect India to start demanding assurances that those nuclear weapons are accounted for. Because if they're not, India may start sending special forces teams over to try to secure those, which, civil war is awful and ridiculously complicated, but an Indian incursion into a civil war is just a whole nother order of craziness. There's a very real possibility that Pakistan will fracture into tribal groups and tribal units, sort of like Afghanistan has. It's a very similar makeup there, and that's kind of what we're looking at there. So, folks, hopefully some of that is that real world examples of what's happening and what's about to happen, kind of give you some insights into what collapse really looks like. All right, folks, hop in the comment section down below to discuss that. I'm sure you guys have a lot of opinions. If you haven't already been typing down there, please do hit the like button. Let's keep those like numbers up in order to keep these things getting out to more people who need to hear about what's going on there out in the world. All right, guys, God bless you all. Steve Poplar out. If you haven't checked out the latest update video, it is right here.